This video has been funded in part by the Guild via Patreon. Check out the links in the description or at the end of this video for more details. Game provided by Wayforward.
Hello everybody, my name is Gildart, and welcome back to another Pros vs. Cons mini-review. The original Shantae on Game Boy Color has become one of the most expensive games for that console because it was released near the end of that console's life. But finally, this game is getting new life on a console that everybody and their grandmother has. I know the first Shantae was released on the 3DS back in the day, and that's actually how I got to experience this game. When Pirate's Curse came out, I bought it on the Wii U. Yeah, you know the console that's main accomplishment is that it wasn't as bad as the Virtual Boy? But anyways, I fell in love with Pirate's Curse and I wanted to get the other games in the series. So I bought Risky's Revenge and the first Shantae game on my 3DS. I did a mini review of the Switch port of Risky's Revenge last year, so click on the iCard if you want to check that video out. But I was more excited for this release. There's something about 8 and 16-bit games that makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Growing up, the only experiences I had with these graphics were on the Game Boy and Game Boy Advance. My first home console was the original PlayStation, but my grandmother had an NES with Super Mario Bros. 1 through 3, so the odd time we visited them, I got to play that. The majority of my gaming experiences are in 3D though, so I don't know what exactly it is that gives me this warm feeling, but just seeing Shantae's sprite in this game makes me so happy. Now it's enough dating myself with what games I used to play when I was young. We're talking about the first Shantae on the Switch. But before we get into that, don't forget to give this video a like, comment with your thoughts below, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Now without further ado, let's get into my initial thoughts on Shantae on the Switch. Alright, ready, set,
Pros.
Yeah, you all knew this was coming based on the intro, but this game looks freaking good as hell. You wouldn't know that this is a Game Boy Color game by first looking at it. The animation is incredibly smooth. There were so many moments where I just thought, are you sure this is an 8-bit game and that it's able to run on Game Boy Color hardware? But it sure did. I would love to pick this game up on Game Boy Color sometime just to experience what it's like to see that level of detail and animation on such a small screen on the go. Shantae's animation in particular are so well done. It makes sense that you would want your main character to have the most work behind them, but it seems like they went the extra mile to give her personality in everything she does. Like crouching. If you were to crouch in any other game, that's exactly what they would do. Just kneel down or maybe squat, but that's it. Shantae crouches and does a little butt wiggle just like a cat that's ready to pounce. You will also transform into different forms in this game by dancing. What you'll do is press a sequence of buttons in a specific order to complete your transformation, and this is so well animated sometimes I just want to sit there and dance forever. Since I mentioned the transformations, I might as well go into the gameplay from here. Shantae is a Metroidvania-esque action platformer. Everything about how this game plays is so intuitive. B is jump, A and Y attack, X starts dancing, and that's pretty much it. In the original game, you can use limited items by holding up and pressing B, which is a weird prompt. I'm glad they changed it to holding up and pressing A or Y in this game. The overall gameplay is solid as a freaking diamond. Platforming just feels right. Normally, Shantae walks at a steady pace, but you can hold either of the attack buttons to make her run, which will also give you access to a larger jump arc for those tougher platforming sections. You can also buy items from certain towns that will open up new attacks and also make your usual hair flip more powerful. This game also doesn't put the player in a long, drawn-out tutorial. It's back in the day when the tutorial was the manual. There's something super freeing about jumping into a new game and figuring it all out for yourself. Games, for the most part, have gotten much better at implementing their tutorials, but this doesn't even give you your button prompts, though that can work against you. I'm not super proud to say it, but when I first played this game back in the day on the 3DS, I didn't know you could run. So I went through the first 2 dungeons at a snail's pace, just barely making it over certain jumps too. My playthrough is going much better this time around. Finally, I have to mention the music of this game because I love Shantae soundtracks. My wife bought me the soundtracks from Limited Run as a gift a couple years ago, and hearing these iconic tracks like Burning Town done in a chiptune style is amazing. Jake Kaufman, you talented creature, you made a soundtrack that could be listened to casually even with such limitations as the Game Boy Color's abilities. Each track has layers to it and it makes it easy to pop on and chill to. Most 8-bit soundtracks are best suited for the atmosphere of the game itself, but isolating Shantae's soundtrack to only being enjoyed within the game is a crime against humanity. And that's all the positives I have to say about my experiences so far. Now it's time for the wrath of the cons! So let's get something straight about this. Shantae on the Game Boy Color came out in 2002. It used a lot of gameplay mechanics that were normal for its time. Even though the controls are incredibly solid, some things are super dated, like the amount of backtracking. Even though this is a Metroidvania game, this feels a little on the annoying side because you are literally going from left or right. The only time this feels like that Metroidvania style where you have multiple exits and paths per screen is during the dungeons. But in the overworld, you are literally traveling between towns and it's just left and right. And don't get me started with the experience of going back and forth between all of these towns. You will be able to find warp squids that you can collect and give to their mother in each town to open up warp paths, essentially fast travel between the towns. It's really useful. The thing is, you need to find 4 per town. When I finished the first dungeon, I had 3. So I had to either go looking for 1 more or walk all the way back. And since I need nice varied footage for my gameplay, I walked all the way back. And this wouldn't be so bad if it weren't for the enemy spawn placements. I can't tell you how many times I was walking along and an enemy would spawn right where I was walking with little to no indication to allow me to get out of the way and avoid taking damage. The main offender is this little guy who pops out of the ground and throws spears. There is nothing to give you warning. You'll just be walking along and bam, a spear-wielding mole man just ruins your lovely stroll. I can't tell you how many lives I've lost to this. And there's another bygone mechanic that probably could have been worked out of this game. Lives are such an annoyance nowadays. They were used back then as a way of implementing something that could stop you from playing the game or continuing your progression. Either because it came from the arcade and they wanted them to be able to make more money by having you shell out more coins in order to get 1 more life to continue playing the game, or it was developed for at-home play and having those lives in place helps from a sharing experience. Maybe you're playing with a friend and you want to take turns. Lives are a great way to measure those play times. You could also brag about clearing the game without losing so many lives. That sort of thing doesn't really work well in 2021. Not to mention that when you lose a life, you just restart from where you entered that screen, and when you get a game over, it restarts you from the last time you saved with 4 new lives. I think it makes more sense to remove the lives and just continue from where you entered that screen. I'll also mention something that I wish they did with this game. I talked about this in my mini review of the Switch port of Risky's Revenge, that it would have been nice to see them build this game to fit into the 16:9 aspect ratio of newer consoles. I know it's more work, so I understand why they didn't do it, but it would have been nice to see more of the environment. Most of the buildings you go into in town are wider than what the screen shows you, so having that extra view so the screen wouldn't have to scroll every time would be nice. Also, it would help to see more platform and enemy placement too. The last thing that I'll mention is something that is neat that they added into this port, but I feel its implementation is lacking a little bit, and that is the Game Boy Advance enhancements. Since Shantae came out so late in the Game Boy Color's lifespan, Wayforward was able to put some extra enhancements into the game when it was played on a Game Boy Advance. The original Game Boy Color didn't have the greatest of colors for playing this game on such a small screen with no backlight. Sometimes it would just be hard to see, so when you played it on a Game Boy Advance, you would get brighter colors. The thing is, when you play with these enhancements on a TV, it does look a little washed out. It feels like you're playing with a filter on rather than playing with the actual colors the game was intended to have. This probably looks great on a Game Boy Advance, but not on a TV. The other enhancement is access to the Tinkerbat transformation. Though this is nice, it's not needed to complete the game, so I'm more than likely going to be playing through this game with the Game Boy Color version. But what would have been nice is for them to allow us to choose whether or not we want to play with the Game Boy Color or Advanced version, and then a separate option allowing you to choose the visual style. Even better, let you switch visual styles mid-game just like the Halo 1 and 2 remasters. I just feel like this could have been given to the player in a much better way. In the end, Shantae on the Game Boy Color for the Nintendo Switch is a great way to experience such a classic. You'll have lots of fun with the solid controls, and being able to play this both on the TV and on the go is too good to pass up. As a fan of the Shantae series, it's great to go back to where it all started. If you enjoy platformers, you'll definitely enjoy Shantae. With everything that's been said, I give the original Game Boy Color Shantae on the Switch a thumbs up. Through dealing with all of the mechanics from the late 90s and early 2000s, I still enjoyed the overall package. Platforming feels so good, and even though there's lots of backtracking and running around, I know that's a part of the gameplay with this being an older Metroidvania style game. Shantae is a part of video game history, and this is a game you should not miss out on. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching my mini review of Shantae for the Switch. Comment below and let me know if you were one of the lucky individuals to play this originally on the Game Boy Color. If you'd like to help support the channel and what I do here, you can join the Guild, just like these awesome people that you're seeing on screen right now. You can join them at the end of every single video for just $1 a month. There's other rewards and other tiers as well, so check out the links that you see on screen, and I will see you all down in the comments.